in the heart. It just makes me so sad. Hi everyone, welcome to Book Boop, where today I will be doing a review of The Window by Amelia Brunskill. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and let's talk about The Window. First half of this video will be spoiler-free, so if you have yet to read this book and would like to read it, then this part of the video is for you. Later on, I'm going to jump into some spoilery parts, and I will let you know when that's coming. But let's go ahead and talk about The Window, shall we? If you have not heard of The Window, a brief synopsis for you. It's about twin sisters. They're very close, but very different in personality. One of the sisters falls and dies out of her bedroom window. Super depressing. And through the other sister's grief, she starts trying to find out why her sister was trying to climb out her window, and all the events that led up to her sister's death. And while she's doing all that research and all that poking around, she ends up finding some things about her sister that she didn't know about. So it was a crazy mystery thriller. I really loved this book. When I wasn't reading it, all I could think about was reading it. I was obsessively reading it. I just wanted to have it just here in my face the whole time. It was so good. I'm pretty positive I've heard this is Amelia Brunskill's very first premiere novel, and I'll definitely be looking out for more of her work because I really enjoyed it. I really love the way the format of this book was written. I love the fact that the chapters were really short because that kept you on reading. That's the thing. You'd read the chapter and it didn't take much time to read it, and you'd be like, one more, and then one more chapter, and then you just wanted to read and read and read and read and read. And I just loved that format. I also really love the fact the book is in the perspective of the living sister, but in between some of the chapters there are perspectives from the dead sister, which I thought was really cool. I thought that was a really neat addition to the book and kept the story spurred and going. I love seeing the story from the two different perspectives of the sisters, so that was really cool. I really loved a lot of the writing in this book and the way it was done. One of my favorite things about this book was the beginning. So the story starts out immediately when the living sister finds out that her sister has died. I personally had never experienced a death close to me that was sudden. I've never experienced that, so I didn't know what that felt like. But the way it's written is so good. I could feel it. I could feel the loss, the sorrow, the shock. Like it was so well written, and I could feel that loss, and so I really actually loved that portion of the book in the beginning because it hit you in the gut and it made you want to keep going. So that's what I really loved about the beginning of this book. I think my favorite thing about this book is the character development. So with the two sisters, from like what I said, that they have very different personalities, the sister that passes away, she's the one that's outgoing. She's got a lot of friends, she's just has a bigger personality and is a lot more open to people. The sister that is left, she is very introverted. She even has an aversion, like a medical aversion to just people touching her. She just doesn't like it. She doesn't like being close to people. She tends to push people away from her, and truly her only friend was her sister. So when her sister dies, the loss is it's just so painful because she has no one else there. So I really loved the character development because she started like that. She started as no friends, just afraid and hurt. And then by the end of the book, she's just this completely different person. And I loved seeing that. I loved seeing her come out of her shell. I just loved seeing that character development. I thought it was so well written. The other thing I really actually liked about this book, it has some adult themes in it, such as sex, alcohol, and drugs. It is a young adult novel. However, it didn't have that in excess. It had enough to carry the story, enough just to keep the story going, which I appreciated. I always get so frustrated when I read different books that have a lot of adult themes and they're just in there to be in there, and that there's not really much of a point to them other than it just being there. And so I really loved that there was a purpose to it. There was a purpose to those adult themes and pushing the story along and making the story have some sense to it. So I really appreciated that as well. But I truly love this book. I highly recommend it. I gave this one 5 stars in Goodreads. It is so rare when I give a book 5 stars. That's like when I say it's one of my tops. If it's one of my top books, it gets 5 stars, and it got 5 stars. So I highly recommend it. If you're not like a mystery thriller person, I think you'll really love this book. It was really fun, so highly recommend. Alright, so those are my non-spoilery thoughts about this book, but now it's about to get spoilery. So, if you would like to read this book, and don't want to be spoiled with the story and all the little mystery hits and stuff, and please just, just go away. I mean, sorry, excuse me, but really just go away. Okay, alright, I'll wait. I'll wait. Are they gone? Are they gone? Okay. Cool. Spoilers are just coming at your face. Let's do this. Alright, so some of the things that really just blew my mind about this book that I really enjoyed is the use of a red herring in this book. The entirety of this book, you are thinking that the sister that passed away, that she's been sneaking out meeting a guy, that she had some kind of relationship or boyfriend. And the entire story, you're thinking that it's an adult male, it's a teacher or an adult male that she meets at a bar that she's been sneaking out to with her friend. So you're thinking that it's that. You're thinking it's an adult, it's an older male. Because time and time again, there's hints that this love or this relationship is forbidden, like it's not supposed to happen. And so because of that, you're thinking it's an adult male. Honestly, I was blown away when I found out she had actually been seeing her best friend's boyfriend behind her back. I didn't see that coming. I didn't think it was a peer. I didn't. And so I was blown away when that happened. That was just crazy. But honestly, the biggest mind-blowing moment for me, which maybe I should have seen coming, I don't read a lot of mystery and thrillers, so these type of books seem really exciting to me, and I'm not seeing things coming ahead of time a lot of times. But the thing that blew my mind the most and the biggest twist for me is when we found out that the sister that was climbing out of her window, and from the beginning we're thinking she died climbing out of her window, we find out she did not. She got out that night. She went and did stuff. She hung out with people. She probably saw the guy that she was seeing. She saw a bunch of people and she got out and she went out. So there's not only a possibility that she didn't fall out of her window dying, there's also a possibility she didn't die there at all and somebody just took her body there and planted it. My mind was exploding. I was just like, what? It was nuts. It was nuts. So I really loved that twist. I loved it. My mind was also totally blown whenever that little button from the dead sister's dress was found at Nick's house, which is the guy that the living sister was interested in and kind of starting to date a little bit. And she found that button there and you were like, oh my goodness, her sister was there that night. What happened? Like, it was just, that was crazy. I did not see that coming at all. And so I was pretty blown away by that one as well. So there were lots of really good twists and turns in this book. I was also super impressed by the living sister quick thinking when the guy that killed her sister basically started like pummeling her and was like beating her up, and she had found out that he had drugged her sister before she died. I was amazed by her quick thinking. I don't think I would have thought to do this, that she, instead of the drugs disappearing and somehow getting rid of, she actually grabbed it and drank the whole thing and let her body be the vessel for evidence for the fact that this guy drugged her sister. And I was just like, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's great thinking. Dangerous, definitely, because she could have taken way too much and hurt herself or killed herself. But that was really quick thinking, because if he knocked her out and just punched the living daylights out of her, he would have been able to take that drug, pour it out, and destroy the evidence, and she would have never been able to have evidence on him. So her quick thinking was just insane. A few things that I struggled with in this book at the end was some of the outcomes for the characters. The whole thing at the end when we find out that Chris, who's the one that basically murdered her sister, we kind of find out that there was a police raid on his house, and police raided like in his bedroom, and they found a whole bunch of drugs, and pretty positive like he got arrested and everything. But his father, who's the police chief, all it said with him was that he resigned. And that just was not enough for me. I was like, this guy needs to go to jail, this guy needs to go to court. Like, I mean, it was like, and he probably did. He probably did. Because the evidence pointed toward the fact that he falsified evidence for his son to keep his son from getting in trouble and getting arrested for basically killing someone. Just the fact that there wasn't this final comeuppance for this chief of police that drove me crazy. So that part I was like, please, I need some justice. The other part that kind of drove me nuts at the end, but I completely understand. I know why it was like this, but it drove me nuts and made me so sad that the living sister did not end up with her guy. Oh, in the heart. It just makes me so sad. I was so sad about this, but I understood why. I mean, she didn't end up telling the guy that basically her sister died outside of his bedroom window trying to get his attention because she wanted to go out with him, and he was interested in her sister too, but she was interested in him as well after the fact, after her sister died. And I understand why she couldn't be with him, but it just still made me so sad. It cut me up inside, especially since just getting to know this guy, she found out that she could actually have moments where she wanted to be touched. She wanted to hold this guy's hand. She wanted to be near him. And that was so sweet, and it was wonderful to see that character development for her. And I'm so glad she learned that and she can hold on to that. But I'm so sad they didn't end up together. It was such a bummer. And also, may I just say, Chris, the guy that killed the sister, he's the worst. He is the worst. I was like, he is a terrible person. Terrible, terrible, terrible person. It ain't right. Overall, I really, really love this book a lot. I know I've said that several times, but I highly recommend it. It is so good. And if you're sticking around right now, I hope you've already read it and you weren't spoiled with a whole bunch of stuff, because what are you doing? Go read it, please. Thank you all so much for sticking around, for watching this review, for hearing me rant about this book, because it's beautiful. It's a piece of art to read, and I really, really loved it. But thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this review, please do a little book boop on that like button. If you really like what you saw, please subscribe to my channel. I would absolutely love that. And then you can hit the little bell icon to get notifications whenever I have new videos come out. But thanks again so much for watching. You rock, and don't forget to keep reading. Bye!